Our next social entrepreneur, Tom Druitt, fantastic champion for the environment. It's just won a huge court case, really important. Tom is the director of the Big Lemon bus. The Big Lemon, I'm sure you've seen them around town. The Big Lemon is the sustainable bus company running on chip fat. Tom and his business partner set up the Big Lemon with no experience whatsoever, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about that. He's won lots of awards, amazing guy. Let me hand over to Tom.
Well, thank you, Darren.
Thank you.
And thank you for inviting me and for setting up such a wonderful event. Yeah, the Big Lemon, where did it all begin? First of all, my tweet, the 140 characters or less, about what is a social entrepreneur. Now, for me, a social entrepreneur is somebody that uses business to achieve a social or environmental good. There are many ways of achieving good, and for many people, one way will work for them, and another way will work for them. I was always quite into business, but I never actually became a businessman, until obviously more recently. But I was sitting in the pub with a friend, and we were just having a bit of a rant. And it was just things were just not quite right. We've got climate change. We've had a lot of flooding recently. We've got corporations just kind of getting more and more powerful and taking power away from communities. And we just had this kind of feeling of, people are becoming, more and more power is becoming, taken away from people, and people don't have kind of power over their services anymore, or they don't think they have. And this is where we started talking more, because I had a particularly bad experience on public transport quite recently, and it was very fresh in my mind. And we just started talking about buses. And I just thought, well, surely buses need to be, they need to be affordable, they need to be sustainable. In the future, we're going to need to have much better ways of transporting lots of people more efficiently. You can't just carry on tarmacking the countryside to build more and more roads. There's not enough oil for everyone to drive one car with one person in it. And then at the time, there was a lot of publicity in Brighton. I think Brighton and Hove buses had put their bus fares up, and there was a lot of people writing to the Argus and complaining to radio stations and all of this. And we thought, well, wait a minute. Rather than complaining to councils or bus company or whoever, they're basically not really, unfortunately, they're not really going to listen. They'll say, oh, yes, it's very, very sad, and we'll try and do something about it. But actually, the kinds of things that people were saying just demonstrated how powerless they felt. And so we thought, well, wait a minute, this is a bit of a problem. Buses aren't very sustainable, they're too expensive, a lot of places don't have a service at all, so rather than just writing to the bus company or writing to our MP or the council, let's just start a bus company. So we had a public meeting, and we had about 20 people in the cricketers' pub in the lanes, and we just started chatting about ideas. And a couple of guys came that were actually bus drivers. This was a good start. Other people came that had experience in other areas, and before we knew it, at the end of the night, we had a few really good contacts, somebody that was experienced in finance, somebody that had experience in buses, a few other people with experience in marketing or whatever it might be. And we started talking about these ideas, talking to the newspaper, and over a period of a few months, suddenly we realized that actually we weren't just talking about it anymore. This was actually happening, and it was happening whether we liked it or not. We had started something that was impossible to move away from, and we were suddenly a little bit out of our comfort zone, but it was very exciting. Thought, well, this is quite cool. So I gave up my job, and I got a bus license. I didn't know anything about buses before. Never driven one, couldn't drive them. Never been a businessman, really. And we just thought, yeah, let's do it. So we got a bus license, right, Googled how to get a bus operator's license, so that was a long drawn out, annoying process, but these things have to be done. And about 9 months later, we had an operator's license and a bus driving license and a bus. And so we did a bit of research and thought, well, what can we do that would make a big impact in Brighton? And that we only really chose Brighton because we lived here, but the idea always was to start something that could be done elsewhere as well. And so we bought this bus and we registered a service for the universities because we thought, well, students are always poor, so they'll be interested in a bit of competition on the bus routes. It'll give us a target audience to really get to know, and I think that's something that's very important. If you're starting a business, you want to know who your target audience is and which community you want to work with. And it's not very helpful to say, okay, well, this is something that will be good for everyone, because things aren't like that. Your target market isn't everyone. It's a specific group of people. And you need to find out who those people are. And we thought, well, if we work with the universities, we've got clubs and societies, we've got student newspaper, student radio, all these people that we can build relationships with and work together and find out what kind of bus service works really well for them. And we had some great conversations up at the university with students that were saying, yeah, well, we want the bus service obviously needs to be a bit cheaper. That was their main concern. But also they wanted a bus company that had friendly drivers. They're saying, well, quite often you get on the bus and you get moaned at, or you haven't got the right change and they have a go at you, or all of this stuff. You press the bell late and they just keep going, or whatever it is. There were lots of complaints about bus drivers, and it started getting me thinking, because surely all of the bus drivers that they're complaining about in other areas, or in their home life, or with their mates down the pub, or in the community centre or something, they're really nice people. So what is it that's turned them into a little bit of a job's worth by sticking them behind the wheel? And so we started talking about, okay, so we need a supportive environment at work. We need bus drivers that are given a bit of freedom in terms of the decision they have, decision-making stuff they have. So if you're 10 pence short on a bus fare, for example, our bus drivers aren't going to say, no, go get some money and come back. They're going to say, look, pay me tomorrow, something like that. And you'll get on, because that's the kind of thing. Obviously, if you do that every day, that won't work. I'm sorry, but the whole the development of our idea was all about how can we cut out some of the cost base, so we are able to provide a cheaper service, make the buses run differently so that they're much more sustainable, and that's where we started talking about actually what else. I heard a rumour once that you could run buses on waste cooking oil, so we started looking into that. And people had done trials and things, but nobody had actually done a full-on, let's do it for real on all the buses. So we just thought, well, let's do it. We'll only find out by doing it. So from day one, 100% of the whole fleet on 100% waste cooking oil, and it's worked. And then obviously going to the drivers, what kind of driver can we kind of train to give a much better experience to the passenger? Somebody that's much less, formal, less kind of jobs worthy, somebody that actually speaks to the customer as they get on. Our drivers will say hello. Fancy that. Morning, Mrs. Jones. And it's just about the small things really that make a big difference. So we worked with the universities, we developed the kind of bus service that we liked, and then we started applying it in other areas. So we started doing music festival coaches, private bus hire, coach hire, weddings, parties, you name it, we're doing it. And now this year, very excitingly, we're starting to do tours as well. So we're doing tours of the country. We're tentatively calling it Britain by Bus, and we're going to go around all areas of the country, England and Wales, doing weekend breaks, 4-day and 6-day tours, mainly aimed at the kind of young at heart. So young people, backpackers, travellers, international travellers, or those kind of 40-somethings that want a bit of an adventure, something not quite like your EasyJet to the Marbella or something. This is about getting to know the country and going to visit all those interesting places. So I think what I would like to leave you with is do what you enjoy, do what you think makes a difference. Don't be put off by people saying, oh, no, that's not going to work. You'll find a way. If you're motivated, you'll find a way to make it work. And finally, don't stay still. Always look for the next thing that you can do, the next way you can apply what you've got. So every year we've tried to do, add another service to our portfolio. And some will work and some will not work, but that's okay. There's always another idea. Thank you.